Hey everyone. In Canada, or, well, any country for that matter, something that I've understood for a long time. And this article that I'm going to be referencing basically just reiterates and confirms what I believed all along is, listen, under any governmental system, you're still always going to be subject to the rules and edicts of people who want to control and dictate your lives. So whether it's the legislative branch, the judicial branch, or the executive branch, right? So Parliament, the Supreme Court, or the Prime Minister's office, and once again, rules are always subject to the interpretation of fallible human beings. So like I say, whether it's judges on the Supreme Court, or the Prime Minister's office, or the Senate, or the House of Commons, you're still always and forever going to be ruled over, not represented, ruled over. Because once again, when fallible human beings, people with their own internal biases, right? And we all have them. Everybody has them. When those people get to be the final arbiters and determining factor, or draw their own conclusions as to what, your rights and freedom entails, once again, good luck with coming to anything that's going to be scientific or objectively truthful or reasoned in regards to their logic as it pertains to the decisions they hand down or the legislative acts that they impose upon us. No. Once again, folks, you're just ruled over. They don't represent you. And for anyone to actually believe that shit in 2018, like, really? What kind of rock have you been living under if you actually believe that the political or the ruling class or any branch of government is actually representative of objective logic, morality, or actual genuine laws? No. It's no different than the decrees of a king or queen, because they get to determine and dictate how laws are implemented and how they interpret what those laws even mean. Want more proof? Here's more proof. Headline under CBC News Politics. Gee, I wonder why it's in the politics section. Yeah, because it's very political. Supreme Court rules Ottawa has no duty to consult with Indigenous people before drafting laws. 7-2 decision rules against Mikisew Cree First Nation claim that government need to consult on omnibus bill. John Paul Tasker, October 11th, 2018. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, listen, when it comes to the First Nations issues, listen, I usually don't delve too much into that. I have enough stuff I got to deal with. But everything that I talk about in all my past videos, when you're talking about property rights, this is kind of the funny thing that I find quite strange with First Nations leaders or people that represent the First Nations, is you seem to reject property rights, but yet you want the government to side and align with your claims of owning property in this country. Well, which one is it? Either you believe in property rights or you don't. You can't have your cake and eat it too. But listen, it was a supposed contract, right, between the colonists, the people from Europe that came to this country, and the First Nation people that were here apparently and claimed ownership of the land, even though they don't believe in ownership of the land or property rights. But anyways, that the whole Indian Act or the treaties and all these agreements that the government of the day had with these First Nation communities. Well, apparently there was an implied and explicit contract there that, hey, yeah, you can keep and retain your particular area, that, whether it's this particular section of Canada that you claim as your own territory, or your tribe claims as their territory. Once again, property rights, territory. But apparently, like I say, these central planning hacks, these authoritarians back in the day, come to some agreement that you should have rights over your own land. And now this Supreme Court saying, well, no, we don't see it that way. So, but once again, you want to align with central planners, and you love to enrich yourself. That's another thing with these First Nation communities and leaders, is you love to enrich yourself from these central planners who forcefully take from Canadians against their will, without their permission, steal from Canadians, so whether they're First Nations people or actually, no, yeah, First Nations people don't pay taxes, but forcefully steal from the rest of Canadians to pay or subsidize for your First Nations communities, But like I say, you want to dance with the devil, and then you get all up in the air, pissed off the fact that, hey, the devil screwed you over. Well, hey, dance with the devil, this is what happens. Which is why I don't understand why the First Nation people don't get on board and support people like myself, like libertarians. Yeah, because we don't believe in statism. We're not promoters of central planning or forced subjugation or slavery of any kind. And we actually believe in property rights and respect of contracts. Canada's lawmakers do not have a duty to consult with Indigenous people before introducing legislation that might affect constitutionally protected Indigenous and treaty rights, the Supreme Court ruled Thursday. I mean, just think about those couple sentences there. It's a little weird, isn't it? Think about the kind of logic that is. Yeah, we don't have to abide by the contracts that we've entered into as a government or First Nations people, or government to government, right? Because basically that's what you're talking about. Government to government, right? Central planner against central planner. So, whether it's your tribal chiefs or leaders, or, federal or provincial leaders, these are all people that pretend that they own you and, well, represent, all in reality, rule over you. Maybe you should start caring about standing up against these people rather than hating on Canadians that haven't done anything of the sort, who have no power or ability to control or micromanage your life or your land, or what happens to your life or on your land. Yeah, you might want to maybe show some solidarity with the rest of us, because we stand in opposition to this stuff as well. The decision will be welcomed by the federal government, which has argued such an obligation would be far too onerous and slow down the legislative process considerably. Oh no, it'll hamper our ability to just railroad over other people's rights and their property rights, I guess, right? So, well, that's not convenient. So no, we're going to override and overrule this past contractual obligation that we had with the First Nation people. Anyways, like I said, this is foolish. I'm not going to read any more from this article. I think most people that listen to my videos know where I'm coming at from all this stuff. Yeah, I don't have any respect or pretend to adhere to the arbitrary edicts of authoritarians, control freaks, or sociopaths, whether they're from the First Nation communities or, those in the federal or provincial governments. But at the very least, I will point out that, it's quite naive, quite foolish for anyone to believe that these people have your best interests at heart, or that they're going to do anything even remotely moral in regards to their so-called obligations, to the treaties or the contracts that people in the past drafted or drew up. Reality check, folks. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.